Hello, my name's Lizzy. I've been a tour guide at the Pitt Rivers Museum in Oxford for several years now, but it wasn't until relatively recently that I started taking a closer look at this wonderful carving of Queen Victoria that's in the court. It's on the ground floor of the museum in a glass case near the entrance. And here it is. It's made, as you can see, out of wood, and the wood's been highly polished. It's been very well looked after, this carving, although unfortunately there is a large crack that goes up the other side. It measures about 42 centimeters tall, and it dates from probably the late 1800s. It was made in Lagos in Nigeria, and it was carved by a Yoruba craftsperson. We don't know any more details than that. It was donated to the Pitt Rivers in 1965 by somebody called Estill G. de Montmorency, whose husband was a member of the Nigerian Administrative Service. And as you might know, Nigeria became a British protectorate in 1901, but it had been annexed by the British in 1865, which might explain how the carving ended up there. If we look at these two photographs, can you see both of them show Queen Victoria? One on the left was taken in 1887, the year of her Golden Jubilee. The one on the right was taken in 1897, the year of her Diamond Jubilee. If we put that one on the left-hand side next to our carving, you can see straight away the connections between the two. So these photographs were probably distributed throughout Queen Victoria's empire. They were sent to colonial and civic offices. They were given as gifts to rulers of state. So the photograph would have been in wide circulation. It would have been something that many people had access to. And it seems very possible that whoever carved this beautiful carving was looking at this photograph as the work was done. You can see many connections, many visual connections between the two, particularly in the fact that both carving and photograph, Victoria's holding a fan, she has rings on her fingers, she has a necklace around her neck, she's wearing these rather elaborate, highly embellished dress or robes, and she's also has a crown on her head. But in many ways, that's where, well, there's a subtle difference, because in the Yoruba carving, there's much more emphasis has been put on the head and the face and the crown of the queen. It's really as though, and this has been suggested, this is what actually happened. The carver started with the head, and maybe that's because it was seen as the most important feature in any portrait, in any person. And maybe more emphasis, more exaggeration was put on the crown as well, because that is the symbol of power. That signifies straight away that what we're looking at is a portrait of a queen, and a queen of a mighty empire as well. There's been various discussion about, some people look at this carving, they see it as rather comical, as maybe a kind of a caricature of the queen in some ways. But others have since suggested that actually it's a tribute, and it's a tribute in many ways because it's been carved in a traditional fashion. This is not the only carving of Queen Victoria made at this time in this place, though. I'm going to show you a couple of other examples. This one is in the British Museum, as is this one. And I wonder if you've noticed, just looking at them, they're very similar in that Queen Victoria again is holding a fan. She has the necklace around her neck. She's got a sash wrapped around her in a beautiful dress. But in these, she's maybe more in proportion. The face and the crown don't seem as though they've been exaggerated in the same way as the Pitt Rivers version. It wasn't unusual at the time for Yoruba craftspeople to carve representations of Europeans. Maybe they were made for the tourist market. Maybe they were made, well, out of curiosity at those outlandish Europeans and their strange ways and strange dress. This carving is also in the Pitt Rivers. It shows, as you can see, a colonial administrator called B.J.A. Matthews. He's sitting at his desk. He's sitting at a European-style desk. He has a pen in his hand, a pipe in his mouth, and a pith helmet that, well, really looks a little bit too small for him. Here you can see it in close-up, and you can see the subtle gradations, the colours of the wood. There is also, in the Pitt Rivers, a wonderful collection of bronzes that were looted from Benin City a couple of centuries before. This example that I'd like to show you here shows in the center the Oba, the ruler of Benin. He's seated, and on either side of him, there are two attendants who are kneeling, facing towards him. He's wearing wonderful headdress on his head and elaborate robes of state. Up above him, on either side, there are two small Europeans. Maybe they're Portuguese traders. Maybe they're people who've come to Benin, having heard about its riches, everything it has on offer. They've come to trade and to take goods home as well. So this is just a demonstration that the interest in representing Europeans in the art of Africa is a tradition that has been stretching back many years. One last thing I'd like to show you before I finish. If you look rather with impropriety up the skirts of Queen Victoria, you can see the version from the British Museum has tiny little feet or maybe shoes that are being carved out. Whereas if you glance discreetly up the Pitt Rivers version, you can see somebody has taken quite a lot of time and effort to carve a rather beautiful high-heeled pair of boots, a secret of Queen Victoria's that not everybody knows. Thank you very much.